Gossip. Thank you guys for checking out another great episode on gossip. Remember, gossip is what's true to you. It may not be true amongst the masses, but it's true to us. Don't forget to get the book Rise of the Black Woman. The latest version is on Amazon for like $15, written by Kanum Morel. This book will be historic. I promise you it will stand the test of time. Stop by our store, ninthdimension.com, and pick up some soul apparel. Now back to the episode. Gossip. Good day, my people. Welcome back to another great episode of Gossip. So today we're gonna pick right back up on the Lord, Serpent, and the Man. So in the first Lord, Serpent, and the Man, we come to understand that the man was made of the dust. The Lord told the serpent to eat the man, as well as kick Adam and Eve out the garden. And we also learned in the first section is that there's more than one type of people on the planet. We know that there's a group of people that was created by the gods in their own image. And then the Lord God came along and created a man from the dust and created a woman from his rib. And so from that point, Eve met a serpent. And so this serpent supposedly told Eve to eat of the tree of knowledge and good and evil. And so she ate, and she said the fruit was good, and she shared it with Adam. All right. So here we are. Chapter 3:14, Genesis. Why Genesis is so important? Because Genesis is telling you about the genetics of a certain group of people on the planet. Because everybody's not the same. And so Genesis is telling you that there's a group of people on the planet that has a different genetics. And I'm going to let somebody else get a little bit more into you, but the genetics that is being talked about is this AB. The AB. If you want to know precisely, O means original. AB is this new bloodline that came along after the O. After the original. This AB bloodline is this bloodline that was created by the Lord and the serpent. So we're gonna talk about this. And so Genesis 3:14 talks about where the Lord said unto the serpent, because thou hast done this, thou art cursed above all the cattle and above every beast of the field. Upon thy belly thou shalt go, and dust shalt thou eat all the days of thy life. And we know that dust means man. And so then 3:15 it says, and this is why this is important. Let me make sure I'm in the right spot. Nope. I ain't in the right spot. Let's go back to 3:13 because 3:13 is important. 3:13 says, and the Lord God said unto the woman, what is this that thou hast done? And the woman said, the serpent beguiled me. Beguiled, when we get into, and we need to bring this back to the forefront. We know that this particular serpent that is being talked about in Genesis is a reptile. Okay, it's a walking, talking reptile. In today's time, we'll call that an alien. In your church, they say it was a snake, but a snake is a reptile. It's not just a serpent. A snake is a reptile. So your church says that this serpent is a snake or a reptile. So there was a walking, talking reptile back in this day with the Lord. And this reptile beguiled Eve. Now, when you do the etymology on beguiled, it means he consecrated her, or he made her holy, or he slept with her, gave her the pipe. Let me stop fucking around. All right, so he beguiled her. Means that he consecrated her, or he made Eve holy. Okay, so if the serpent made Eve holy before Adam could make her holy, okay, we're going to keep going. So that also tells you that they firstborn is Cain and Abel. I'm going to come back to that. The serpent's and Eve child is Cain and Abel. Twins. That's where you first get your set of twins at. A lot of people ain't going to like this, but it is what it is. The reptile has twins. That's where you first get your twins at, because in the mammalian culture, their mammals have one child at a time. But reptiles have twins or multiple children at one time, whether it be snakes, alligators, and any other damn reptile you could think of. They have more than one baby at a time, but mammals have one. And so this is where the people having twin siblings come from, because that reptile is in their gene pool. We have reptilian in our gene pool if twins are in your family. That's what it's come back to. Genesis mean genetics. Genesis mean genetics. Okay, so 3:15. So we know the serpent done made Eve holy in 3:13. And then in 3:15, it says that I will put enmity between thee and the woman. Now, enmity means, or ENM, which means non-monogamous. The ity means state of. The ITY means state of. So I will put you in a state of non-monogamy between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed. It shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. Now, what is this saying? It is saying that it will cause her confusion, and it will cause him to be in a lower state. It will cause her confusion, and it will put him in a lower state. That's what it means to bruise his heel. Okay, let me pull up this etymology so I can give you so you can know what I'm talking about. Let's go to thou shalt bruise his heel. Bruise means to crush or to cut. And heel, go to the etymology. You go there with me. That's why we in this together. And so heel means a lower state, or a person in a lower position, or incompetent, or worthless. So it shall bruise his heel, so it shall make him worthless or put him in a lower position. Now, verse 3:16. Hold on, I might need to go to Romans 16:20 first. Let me go there. See what Romans 16:20 talking about. Because it did give reference. And Romans 16:20 says, and the God of peace shall bruise Satan under your feet shortly. What does that mean? To put him in a low position, or to cut him off, to smash him. Put him under your feet shortly. All right, so we just get back over here. 3:16. Unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception. What does that mean? I will multiply your dis-ease and thy conception. What does that conception mean? Your ability to perceive correctly. So your conception is off. Let me go to the etymology on conception, because I like going to the etymology, so we can make sure we understand what's being talked about. So concept. Conception comes from the word concept. Now they want to tell you that it means to be pregnant. You know what I'm saying? We think, well, we pregnant and we have periods because of it. Nah, hold on. Let's stop for a second. Conception. Power of conceiving in the mind. A mental sense of process of forming concepts or act. Or meaning that which is conceived in the mind. So the sorrow, because your sorrow has been multiplied, your conception is off. Your conception is off because of your dis-ease. So unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception. In sorrow thou shalt bring forth children. Because you are unhappy, you gonna just spit out kids. In sorrow thou shalt bring forth children. And thy desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over thee. Because of your unhappiness, the man was told to rule over you. This is all important, because I want to get to a certain point with this serpent, or with this reptilian. Let's keep going. So we already established that the serpent done made Eve holy, or beguiled her. Then because the serpent beguiled her, the serpent was told he got to eat the man all the days of his life. He put enmity between the woman and the serpent, not between the woman and Adam, between the woman and the serpent. Enmity means to be non-monogamous. He done bruised the heels, done made put the woman in sorrow. He done multiplied her sorrow, multiplied her unhappiness. So she gonna bring forth children because she unhappy. So here we are. So now it says that Adam said, unto Adam he said, because thou hast hearkened unto the voice of thy wife, and hast eaten of the tree of which I commanded thee, saying, thou shalt not eat of, cursed is the ground for your sake, or thy sake. In sorrow shalt thou eat of it all the days of thy life. And then it goes on to talk about the sweat, work by the sweat of his brow, and the sweat of thy face shalt thou eat bread till thou return unto the ground, and all of that. And then it said he named Eve, which I had already called it Eve, but he named Eve, named his wife Eve. And then we get down here to verse chapter 4. After God done drove them out of Eden. And after the Lord done drove them out of Eden and put cherubims up and to guard the gate. And then chapter 4 it say, and Adam knew Eve, his wife, and she conceived, and she bare Cain, and said, I have gotten a man from the Lord. This is Adam talking. And she again bare his brother Abel. Okay. So she done had two children. Cain and Abel. Now she was already holy from the serpent beguiling her. And how do I know that the Cain and Abel are the serpent's children? Okay, because check this out now. Check this out. It says, chapter 4, and Adam knew Eve, his wife, and she conceived and bare Cain. Chapter 4, verse 2 says, and she again bare his brother Abel. So how do I know that these are the serpent's children? It's right here. Go to chapter 5. Chapter 5, verse 3. After they get to talking about all the children and the genealogy of Adam and Eve, or should I say the serpent and Eve. Right? Because at 130 years, at 130 years old, Adam had another child. He had a son. And this son was named Seth. Now, in chapter 5, verses 3, it says this. And Adam lived 130 years and begat a son in his own likeness. Now, why wasn't Cain and Abel in his likeness? Because they were the children of the serpent, or this reptile. He didn't have a child in his own likeness until he was 130 years old, and he begat Seth. Again, 5:3, and Adam lived 130 years and begat a son in his own likeness, after his image, and called his name Seth. So Cain and Abel were the serpent seed. That's why they were twins. And in these serpent seeds is also where it told you where there will be non-monogamous, right? Where they'll put enmity between the woman and the serpent. Here we go in chapter 4:23. Where did the first man to have two wives, or the first of the Lord's creation to have two wives, was Cain's son, Lamech. It say in chapter 4:23, it says this, and Lamech said unto his wives, Ada and Zillah. Okay, and if we want to be for certain this is what it was, it says, go to chapter 4:19. It says, and Lamech took unto him two wives. So here go your pilot. This is where it first shows up. It shows up with the serpent seed. And so he took on two wives. What else happened? What else has happened? Well, what else happened before Adam had a son in his own likeness, which he named Seth? Let's go back to the serpent seeds, which is Cain and Abel. Cain killed Abel. After Cain killed Abel, the Lord confronted him. Let's go here, 4:5. But unto Cain and to his offering he had no respect, and Cain was very wroth, and his countenance fell. Now, what does countenance mean? Countenance means his appearance changed. He shape-shifted. How you know that nigga shape-shifted? Well, because he shape-shifted or his appearance changed from everybody else, he was sent underground. How do I know this? Let's go here to 4:11. And now art thou cursed from the earth, which had opened her mouth to receive thy brother's blood from thy hand. 4:14. Behold, thou hast driven me out this day from the face of the earth, and from thy face shall I be hid. Well, if you gone from the earth, he didn't kill you. Cain was still able to have children. If he didn't kill Cain, where did he go if he wasn't on the face of the earth? He went in the earth. Just like I told you in the first Lord and Serpent. Let me go back to it, which is Micah 7:17. Micah 7:17. Let me pull it up real quick. Let me find it. Micah 7:17. They shall lick the dust like a serpent. They shall move out of their holes like worms. So they underground. He was cursed from the face of the earth, so they went underground. They went underground. And being that they was underground, and you gotta take note that these are new beings. These are new beings, and I'm gonna explain why I'm having to say that these are new beings on the planet. Because it talks about that there was giants upon the earth. To give you an example of what I'm saying is that, okay, take this for instance. To me, compared to Bill Gates, he's a giant. Not that he's some big, tall motherfucker. No, he's a giant in money-wise, in the stuff that he's accomplished. I haven't accomplished nowhere near the stuff Bill Gates done accomplished. So therefore, he's a giant in my eyes. So a new group of people on the planet, or a new group of beings on the planet, to the planets that was to the beings that was already here, they are considered giants. Why? Because the new beings are having to learn shit that they don't know. And when we go, and why are you saying this, Deacon Mal? Let's go to the etymology of giant. Because we seem to think that giant means big in stature. Giant. It tells you that giant is a creature of enormous size. That's the first thing it say. But what do we know to do? Because we smarter than it. We know to keep reading. And so it gets into talking about giant and org and giant and this, that. But the next explanation it gives you is this of a giant. One of a race of divine, but savage and monstrous beings. Sons of Gaia and Uranus. Eventually destroyed by the gods. The word is of unknown origin. Now I've heard it from scholars, and when I went to Nashville and went to go visit, I think it was Andromeda. They got a huge 20, 30 foot statue of Andromeda, I believe, or Aphrodite or somebody up in Nashville. And when you read the plaque, it says, although they was called giants, they was often seen in small stature, or often had small stature. They were small in stature. So that means they wasn't big people just because they were called giants. They was called giants because of their technology, because of how advanced they were in the mind. And that's why the Lord had to go before his creation all the time, because his creation hadn't got to the point where they could actually take over shit. So what the Lord was doing throughout the book was setting up his people to take over. How do we know that, Math? Because when they got ready to go into the land of the giants, the Lord said what? After he sent the 12 disciples, he sent one of each tribe. I can't tell you the scripture because I don't have it in front of me and I don't remember. But I remember this. The land was called Amarita. And so they went and scoped out the land. And came back and told the Lord, there's giants over there. And so the Lord said, well, I'll go before you. And the Lord went before them to help them conquer all these territories and conquer all this land. And now, and people wonder, well, which I had somebody say, well, why the Lord ain't doing all the stuff he was doing back in the day? Well, he done put his people in place. So he can leave now. Once you get your shit set up, what else do you need to do? You let it work for itself. You let it do what it do. And so the Lord was teaching his people, guiding his people, brought them out of Egypt, took them through the wilderness, dropped manna out the sky for them to eat, taking care of them. Everywhere that he needed them to go conquer, he went before them to ensure victory. because he needed to make sure there was victory, because he need his people in place. Let's go back to this giant thing, and I got some. Let me bring this to the forefront. Bring this forward. Let me find it. So after they done been sent underground, after they done been cursed off the surface of the earth and had to go underground because Cain shapeshifted, which now people can see that he's part reptile, and so that was a no. So he's like, nope, you got to get off the face of the earth, because nigga, you's a reptile, and they don't need to see you like that. So get off the face of the earth. Go hide. So where are we now? Where are we? So this is right around the time. So in Genesis 5, Lamech done got their 2 wives, and then it say these are the generations of Adam. And so it started going, and then Adam have Seth, the first child in his likeness. And then it goes into the genealogy and all the children that Cain had and his sons had, and the sons and daughters that they had, and all this and all that. They go through all that. Then we get over here to chapter 6. So Cain them been under the earth, or in the earth, I should say. And they've been spawning, just having children, growing their multitudes. Chapter 6 says this: and it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth. So what didn't happen? What has happened? And it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them. So what has happened? So while Cain them was under the ground, having all these children, well, they done multiplied so much that now they on top of the earth. They needed some space. So like some of y'all we gotta make space down here. So some of us went back to the face of the earth. When they went back to the face of the earth, it says this, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men. Now you would think that this son of God means the Lord, but it does not. The sons of God is talking about in Genesis 1:8. Well, not 1:8. I'm sorry. Let me stop throwing out verses, because go back to Genesis 1:27, where it say, so God created man in his own image, in the image of God created he him, male and female created he them. So those are the sons of God. Those are the sons of God. 6:2, it say that the sons of God saw the daughters of men. What men? Cain's children, Cain's daughters. And the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. So the sons of God done started sleeping with the daughters of Cain, or the descendants of Cain. And what happened? It goes down to here. Chapter 4, 6:4. Chapter 6, verse 4, it says, there were giants in the earth in those days. Who were the giants? We finna find out. And also after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men. So who were the giants? The giants were the sons of God. The giants were the sons of God, the people that been here. How do I know they've been here? I gotta keep going back through this thing. See, we gotta study this book carefully. How do we know they've been here? Well, it says chapter 2:4, it says, these are the generations of the heavens and of the earth when they were created. Then the Lord came along. So the creation of God, which the people that was made, the male and the female that was created in God's image, later on, a Lord showed up, and this Lord created people, created Adam and Eve, which he made from the dust. They weren't made in the image of the Lord. They was made from the dust of the ground. Let's get it straight now. Because the Lord didn't make people in his image. He made them from the dust of the ground. Only God made people in his image. All right, so it says, there were giants in the earth in those days. Well, who were the giants? The giants were the sons of God, the ones that were made in God's own image. Who was the daughters of men? Well, the daughters of men was Cain. Was Cain's descendants, Cain's granddaughters. When the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them, the same became mighty men, which were of old. Why did it say old? Because the people that was made in the image of God, they were already here. Way before the Lord came along and created Adam and Eve. They were the old. Adam and Eve are the new. They are the new people, the new beings on the planet. And they have bred, well, Eve have bred with this serpent or this reptile. And so the same became mighty men which were of old, men of renown. And then it says, and God saw the wickedness of man, and God saw the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually, and it repented the Lord. See, you'll think that when it said, and God saw the wickedness, you'll think they're talking about God, but no, it's talking about the Lord. And it repented the Lord that he had made man on the earth. Come on now. And it grieved him at his heart. The first question, the question that need to be asked, well, if man messed after the Lord created man, and man messed up, Adam and Eve messed up, why did he did all the killing afterwards? Why he didn't just slay their ass and create a whole new man and woman from the dust all over again? Why didn't he do that? That's a question that needs to be asked. Because I ain't found the answer. I haven't found the answer. So if you found the answer, email me at deaconmaverick@gmail.com. And so here we go. So because the Lord done created evil, well, he seen the wickedness on the planet. This is another fact. This the first adultery that was created. There go the first adultery. What is it? The mixing of the seeds. The interracial dating. That was considered the wickedness. When the sons of God slept with the daughters of men. Mixing of the DNA is a problem. But y'all don't want to hear that though. For one reason, because they pushing interracial dating. They pushing it for a reason. And a lot of us are falling in the trap. Not knowing that this is something we should not do. We should not be mixing the seeds. Because we not all the same. The Lord done told you he was pissed off when the reptile fucked her. And so he cursed the reptile and kicked them out of the damn garden. And then told the reptile, well, you can go on and eat them. They gonna be your food. Well, y'all, they ain't hearing it. That's where you get cannibalism from. Cain was the serpent's seed. Then the Lord told the reptile, well, you can eat them. Eat the man that I made. That's cannibalism. Why? Because you are now eating of your own kind. That's cannibalism. And so the Lord said, well, fuck it. I'm going to flood the earth. Supposedly. I'm going to destroy everything. They had the one thing about the Lord, ain't got no problem killing. Never had a problem killing. So I don't understand why he didn't just kill his creation and start all over again. Let me see what else I want to talk about, because I'm going to have to come back to this. Because there's a lot of stuff that I'm still running through right now. So this shall be continued. I'm going to add some stuff to the bottom of this to where I'm going to let you hear some stuff which is going to tell you about this DNA, which is the AB blood type. And I'm going to let you hear what, if you listen to Lord and Serpent Part 1, and you heard about how they was pulling the pineal gland out of the kids and calling it the walnut and eating flesh, and I'm going to let you hear something else that's going to solidify, because it ain't like they don't put this information out here. They put it out here. They put it in movies. They put it in all kind of shit. You just ain't putting the pieces of the puzzle together. And I'm doing the best that I can to put the pieces of the puzzle together. Because the main reason why a lot of the religions today, which is Christian-based, don't deal with the Old Testament, because when you deal with the Old Testament, you're going to find there's some bullshit going on. You're going to find there's some shit going on. And so now they talk about they live under the New Testament, which is under the grace. They don't deal with the law no more. But like I told one lady, go out there and tell that police officer you don't deal with the law, you under grace, and see if it won't lock your ass up. So I'm going to digress, and we're going to have to come pick this back up. And I'm going to pick it back up. I just don't know when yet. But right now I'm going to leave it at where it's staying at. Because that is a mouthful just to gather what we just talked about. That's a mouthful just to gather what we just talked about. So I'm going to put some more stuff with it. Listen in. You're going to hear some people say some different things. Just listen in. Check it out. And we're going to end the podcast at that moment in time. I want to thank you guys for coming to check out Gossip. Again, we're going to pick this up later. Thank you for your time. And I appreciate those that come check in. Again, I don't do shows all the time. I don't have a lot to say, but I definitely have something to say. Thank you for checking out Gossip.
Expanded to include this issue. Eating co-workers or any non-affiliated personnel in accordance with the vampire.
Hearing Turner toss around
A set of circumstances involved vis-a-vis his vampirism. But rest assured, I acted in the best interest of this company, as well as your personal safety. Personal safety. That's key. Our zero tolerance program will be expanded to include this issue. Eating co-workers or any non-affiliated personnel in accordance with the vampire.
Hearing Turner toss around the term vampire is so foreign to my ears. He's hated that word for as long as anyone's known him. Yeah, Turner's one of us. So this is clearly the retardations talking, which I'll get to shortly.
Vampires, they win. And vampires shouldn't be winners. That's not to say that Mike was a loser. Maybe he didn't have a choice in his blood-sucking peculiarities. Perhaps more accurately, Mike was an unwinner. By way of illustration, a vampire walks into a bar.
Okay, let's get this whole vampire debate out of the way. First of all, we're not vampires. That's a whole media thing invented by Bram Stoker to sell books. We don't have fangs, and we don't fly. And yes, we have reflections. Vampire makes us sound like, well, monsters. In the Middle Ages, we were referred to as nether beasts, but we prefer nether folk. We're really normal people with a slight birth defect. The heart's the thing. It's what makes us special. We have an odd growth on our hearts. It looks like a grisly, veiny clump. This clump secretes an enzyme when someone is faced with an unnatural death, some sort of body trauma. You'll recover as long as your heart's not destroyed and you're willing to feast. Which brings up a naive notion.
Drinks blood to survive?
Oh, if it were only that easy. Blood's great and all, but blood alone won't do it. No, we need human flesh as well. Through various connections, we keep a steady supply of choice recently deceased people in inventory. See, we're not beasts. Long gone are the days of murder and mayhem. We enjoy human flesh and blood, but try not to eat any more than we need to. And in the hands of the master chef, there are infinite ways to prepare human flesh. Once the body has experienced the initial secretion, you're set. No disease, and wounds heal quickly. That doesn't mean limbs will grow back or your skin will mend flawlessly. It's about survival, repairing life functions, not magic. In our golden age, when blood flowed like wine and flesh flowed like, well, much thicker wine, we learned that our existence is reliant on a rare mineral we call netherstone. It's securely locked and hidden away here at Burntech, and it's vital to our survival. The netherstone radiates and enriches the enzyme in our heart. As long as we're within a mile of it and continue to feast, we can live healthy lives. As healthy as you can be eating flesh, I guess.
He not only signed the treaty with the Greys to allow abductions, but he actually made free speech in the USA punishable by death under martial law. Quote, "The U.S. reserves the right to impose the death penalty in accordance with the provisions of Article 68 without regard to whether the offenses referred to therein are punishable by death under the law of the occupied territory at the time when the occupation begins." End quote. In simple terms, under martial law, anyone attempting to exercise their right of free speech under the U.S. Bill of Rights can be put to death. And this becomes very important as we go further into the book, understanding about concentration camps and what is really intended for human beings. But anyway, back to extraterrestrials.
Yes, back to extraterrestrials.
Yes, we'll get to the other stuff
soon here, yes.
You know, yes. So,
and all ties together, as you said. And by the way, first got to ask you,
sure.
Do you yourself possess Rh negative blood?
Yes, I know that not only possess Rh negative blood, I'm actually a reptilian human hybrid.
Well, goddamn.
yeah, it's an
Gossip. In case you guys have not figured it out yet, I wanted to make sure that you guys knew that any of the interviews or things like that I do that I add into my shows, if you ever want to relook it up, just look at the title of that episode or that part in the show, and the title will have reference to whether it's a YouTube video or a video on Rumble or the person's name or whatever, so that you can go look up what I was watching or what I was referencing. And it may be a movie title, so you can just look all that up. But gossip, hopefully you guys enjoyed the show. I got another one coming. It'll probably drop sometime next Friday, right after Thanksgiving or the week after that. But just be on the lookout. Gossip.